Captain Frank Ingargiola is a 1993 graduate of SUNY Plattsburgh, earning a Bachelor of Arts in Environmental Service or Science. He joined the United States Marines in 1996 and was commissioned as a second lieutenant in 97. In 2003, Captain Ingargiola transitioned to the Navy to attend advanced flight training and reported to HC-28 in Milton, Florida. Captain Ingargiola is currently serving as the commanding officer of Naval Support Activity Lakehurst, New Jersey, and the deputy commander of Joint Base McGuire-Dix Lakehurst. Captain Ingargiola's personal awards include the Defense Meritorious Service Medal, Meritorious Service Medals, Navy and Marine Corps Commendation Medals, and Navy and Marine Corps Achievement Members Medals. Wow. It's all yours, Captain.
Well, thank you, Hal. Appreciate that. And just to clarify again, I am in the Navy. I'm not here to sell ice cream afterwards, so just wanted to clarify that. All right, good afternoon. Before we begin, I want to extend my sincerest gratitude to you all for allowing me to speak today as we celebrate the partnerships between the Joint Base and local communities. Most notably, the support of Princeton Mercer Regional Chamber, honorary commanders, and other supporters of the Joint Base. Special thank you to Miss Alice Barfield. Where are you, Miss Alice? Sorry, I'm blind, not here? Okay. Ms. Regina Arcuri and Mr. Hal English for allowing me to share some time with you today. I certainly want this to be interactive. I encourage you to ask questions, or if you have any comments, please just raise your hand and we'll try and get to you. But there'll be time for questions at the end if anybody wants to hold until the end, or we can actually discuss when we mingle. Just to warn you, I think last year you had Colonel Adams as the guest speaker. I am not as eloquent as Colonel Adams. He is probably one of the best public speakers I've ever heard in my life. So, but I will try my best to do my best. But really what I'm here for is to elevate and share some of the highlights of my time here on the Joint Base and offer you some insight as to what it is we actually do and what you guys so adamantly support. As you may or may not know, JBMDL is a very, very big base. It's about the same size as Washington, D.C., the entire landmass of Washington, D.C. And many of you may not know that we have ranges capable of firing anywhere up from 9mm on pistol all the way to 155mm cannons, howitzers. Those are the big ones that some of you might go, what are those booms going on the weekends? Well, that's them. We pretty much have all the ranges to satisfy any military operational capability on this Joint Base. It's like an adventure land for the military. And this is really just one of the benefits that the realignment in 2009 had for the Joint Base. And it makes us absolutely the best Joint Base out of all of the 12 Joint Bases in the U.S. inventory. We have land navigation ranges, convoy ranges, heavy equipment ranges, military operations and urban terrain ranges. We've got, again, weapons that include the 9mm pistol all the way up to 155. And we have aerial gunnery ranges for our helicopters that actually can engage targets in the impact area. And we have 2 military airports that serve pretty much the entire East Coast for all the aviation assets, including down in Dover as well as down in Florida for the C-17. So a lot of stuff comes through here. Why is this important? You might be asking, why is all this stuff important? Well, number one, it makes Joint Base McGuire-Dix Lakehurst a very, very, very shiny object for Washington, D.C. And I'll cover the most recent example of that in a little bit more detail later. But the second reason, it has proudly put JBMDL into the #2 spot in New Jersey's biggest employers, second only to the state of New Jersey itself. That's a huge undertaking when you consider the population and how many people and businesses that are supported by it. And again, I want to take some time to highlight the community support, community support that this body has provided the Joint Base as well as the entire state of New Jersey. So the relationships formed between the base and the community, in particular, the excellent folks representing the Princeton Mercer Regional Chamber here today. So I thank you very much for all of your continued support. For starters, members of the Chamber, military support organizations, and local honorary commanders supported our efforts by partnering with a local nonprofit to collect donations in support of Operation Allies Refuge and Operation Allies Welcome. They also led holiday toy drives for our military families, raised funds towards Send a Hero Home for the holidays, which helps junior enlisted members return to home to visit their families during the holiday period. Just as a point of note, every single E5 on the base, which is probably the better part of 60% of all of the military on board that base, were afforded the opportunity to go home because of a program that was sponsored right here in Princeton, Mercer County. So with that, we thank you for your continued support. And you're going to hear that thematically throughout the whole thing. We really do think that the support from the local communities, in particular Princeton Mercer, is absolutely outstanding. So now I referenced the shiny object that is the Joint Base McGuire-Dix Lakehurst to Washington, D.C. And I'd like to ask a quick question. How many, by show of hands, how many people knew that we hosted the largest Afghan refugee population across any of the joint bases or any of the bases in the DoD? Okay, yeah, quite a few actually, which is good. Well, just so you know, we processed over 16,500 refugees from August 2021 to February 2022. Now, we weren't the lead organization, but we were thrust into a joint State Department and Department of Homeland Security operation that was challenging, to say the least. As we at the Joint Base acted to plan and execute this task, the outpouring of support from the local community, again, was amazing. From the beginning, the Joint Base partnered with the New Jersey State Police, New Jersey-based American Red Cross, local restaurants, religious centers, and everyday New Jersey citizens to make this work. Now, working with government organizations is always difficult, especially other government organizations. But working with the community was extremely, extremely easy. It's a testament to the patriotism and kindness that New Jersey should be known for, and I want to make sure that you heard it from me. Again, thank you for the continuing outpouring of support, and we certainly can't do what we do without you. With this amazing community support, we'll continue to do the job that we're asked to do. Of course, I stand up here today. I'm a helicopter pilot by trade. Others may do logistics. Some are police officers, while others are administration specialists. Some are Navy SEALs, some are infantry, but those are all duties and responsibilities. And I was careful to highlight and kind of accent the word job, and I did that for a reason. Because I'm speaking to the inferred job that every one of us who wears the uniform or has worn the uniform may be asked to do by our country. The job that people don't get told that we're supposed to do, but we're asked to do regardless of our day-to-day responsibilities or duties. I want to be clear that the military's job, regardless of our specific job titles or responsibilities, is to develop the warrior mindset and to prepare to kill our enemies and break their stuff. We are entering a new era of potential conflict, and we must cultivate a warrior mindset and incorporate military-specific training into every aspect of our daily responsibilities. Here at JBMDL, we continue to instill pride and professionalism in our soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, Coast Guardsmen, and Guardians. Yes, we have all of them on the Joint Base, with that warrior mindset in every facet of their daily duties and responsibilities. We strive for proficiency in all areas to make us a more lethal fighting force and must stay ahead of our near-peer adversaries. We are seeking to invigorate training with an emphasis on learning from our mistakes to emerge better than before. And that is that adventure land, so to speak, for all the training that we can do on the base. And lastly, we hold ourselves to the highest standards to ensure that we are ready to uphold our oaths and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. We do this because the fine people of our country are relying on us to keep you safe. I know this is nothing new to those in the room who have previously served, but we need a military that exhibits grit and resilience with the willingness to uphold their oaths and beat our enemies at all costs when called upon. Joining the military is not just to learn a trade. It's not to get money for college or to get a paycheck. It's to support and defend the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And I'll be darned before we let another country take our title away, as we are the most powerful and most professional military on earth. I know you all support us in this, and if you take anything away from my talk today, remember what I said. Our primary job is to kill our enemies and break their stuff. End of story. Thank you for your continued support, and I will now open the floor to some questions, but at first I'll close by saying, God bless the fallen, God bless the missing, God bless the scarred, and God bless the United States of America. Thank you very much. And before I take any questions, I'd like to point out that from the 19th to the 21st, we have on board Joint Base McGuire-Dix Lakehurst, we have the Open House Air Show. It is open to the public, and we would love for you to show up and, again, just kind of see what we do around the base, kind of little things that I alluded to in my speech. So, but again, open for questions. Yes, sir.
So can you describe the concept of the Joint Base Initiative, and was that 2009?
That was 2009, yes, sir.
What was the problem that this is to?
Okay, so back then, BRAC was a big thing, base realignment and closure, money savings, essentially. And we had 3 bases that all were operating in the same general area, and I think all 3 of them, I'm not 100% sure, all 3 of them made it on the chopping block on that BRAC list. So there were some very eager politicians in the state of New Jersey, and Chris, I can't remember Mr. Saxon, yes, was very influential at trying to do a realignment vices closure on all 3 of the bases. Hence was born the Joint Base McGuire-Dix Lakehurst, as opposed to Naval Air Station Lakehurst, Fort Dix Army Garrison, and the McGuire Air Force Base.
Are you guys the model to go across the country? You said there's 12 of them?
There are 12 of them. The model, I don't know if there is a model for Joint Base, actually. It kind of, how do I say it? It's kind of like a Frankenstein. They put a leg of one base on an arm of another one, and they put it together and kind of saw what worked. So we have a saying at our Joint Base, and I think it's permeated through all the other 12. It's if you've been to one Joint Base, you've been to one Joint Base. They're not all the same. The construct is loosely similar, but not all the same. I hope that answers your question, sir. Okay. What else? Miss Christine, how you doing?
I'm great.
Good to see you.
So I heard something recently that I would like you to elaborate on if you can. There's a lot of research and a lot of development that goes on Navy Lakehurst. And Hal mentioned Top Gun. You're there to spit me out.
Thank you.
The cables that are used to hold those planes when they land and stop them on those ships out there. Can you talk a little bit about where they're made and maybe some of the things that go on Navy Lakehurst?
I would love to. And that, by the way, it's not a loaded question. I didn't know about this beforehand. So, absolutely, great question. So, on board Navy Lakehurst was the former Naval Aviation Engineering Base. It was NAES, it was called. And for years, they have been the sole manufacturer of every single arresting gear cable that is on every single carrier. That's the only place in the world that they make them. Additionally, not only for the Navy, it is also the only place that the Air Force and any other airport that has overrun cables, it's where those are made. And additionally, it's also where we make all of the cables for our partner nations, France and England. We make them as well. We're the only place in the world that makes that gear. Additionally, that engineering capability that we have on board Lakehurst also rehabs all of the components for the steam catapults, as well as the arresting gear components for all of the aircraft carriers. So it's a very robust engineering complex over there. There's a lot more to it, and I could certainly go into it, but to answer your direct question, the only place in the world that makes all of the arresting gear cables for all of the aircraft carriers in existence. Not the Chinese, sorry. We don't make it for them. They're the only other ones that have an aircraft carrier right now.
Thank you for your service and for your time today.
Thanks.
I'm sure everyone here appreciates
spoke a little bit about deployment. Could you also speak directly to the importance of having that spousal support at home, and also in a community, what can we do to support those that are waiting for you to come back from a deployment, and the importance of employment for spouses as well?
Okay. Well, I've spoken a lot about the community support and how outstanding it is. If my wife sees the video, I have to say this. The family support is always the most important. Okay, it really, really is to support our warfighters, especially as they go on deployment, like you said. So, you know, we leave our spouses and families to continue with their daily routine, their daily grind, their normalcy, -1. It's tough. It takes a big, big toll. For the Navy in particular, you know, again, I said anywhere from 6 months to 9 months, maybe even 10 months occasionally, but there's no internet connectivity. There's no cell phone service. You can't turn them on even if you had it. So it becomes, it's like you live on Mars. They have to do everything. So that support is absolutely key and essential to making sure that we can continue to do what we do. With that being said, again, the support from the state of New Jersey alone is it's mind-boggling. The base has got services for reciprocity for a lot of the spouses in terms of licensing from different states. So if you're a nurse, and I'm not 100% sure on this, but you take a license for either nursing or architecture or engineering in one state, it doesn't automatically cross over into the state of New Jersey. Well, the state of New Jersey has done an excellent job at making sure that reciprocity is very, very streamlined and quick so that we can allow the spouses to pick up where they left off, again, regain some of that normalcy. And again, secondly to that, I think the military family and support services that we have, and again, those are the tie-ins from the community into the Joint Base, have been very good in helping spouses with things as simple as childcare. Not as simple as childcare. As important as childcare, and as simple as just basically, you know, household chores. Maybe you might need somebody to help come up and babysit the kids. We've got provisions for that. Again, all from the community into the Military Family Support Center. So we can invigorate those, reinvigorate those, or make them better, enhance them. Anything would help, and it is fantastic in the state of New Jersey, absolutely. Like I said, mind-boggling. I've never experienced this kind of thing before on any of the bases I've ever been. I've been all over the world, so please, sir.
How can we essentially team up to help with those shortfalls, and how can we construct something that is appropriate for the different ages on the introduction of what military service is, and then up to the 15, 16, 17-year-olds, getting them to, you know, what's appropriate for them, and how can we help with the assistance on those?
Service is always good. I mean, again, we talked about service that the community gives to the military. I mean, we pay that back. It's back and forth. Service is not a bad thing. Unfortunately, we've got a lot of me's. We don't have a lot of teams. And if there's anything we can do, we can teach the young kids that America's not that bad. There's still opportunity. The Pledge of Allegiance is not that bad, and it's good to belong to something. And that the military, for right or wrong, you know, we are here to serve our nation. We're here to serve the people, to make sure that we stay a nation of laws, because it won't be around for very much longer if we don't preserve that. All right, Hal. That's the hook.
Your Town Tube is today's #1 all-local promotion, social media, and networking in the Princeton Mercer region. The most effective, attractive, quickest, and affordable ways to reach a huge local audience.